Here we go. All right. Hi, everyone. If you're watching the recording, thanks for doing so. And hopefully, we can kind of fill in and talk about the nutrition. So, I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you how you can find all this yourself. So, if you go to your on demand and you click on 80-Day Obsession, everything that we're talking about is in the program materials. So I'm going to click on that. Let's see. First, Emily, is this well, I guess I'll click on
Let's just start with the start again. Hi, I'm Emily, if you don't know me. This is really the best place to start is the starter guide. And so obviously before you'll take your measurements and your weight, this part is super important because it's how you determine what calorie bracket you're in, which you don't know necessarily why that's so important yet, but there's a different calculation for phase 1 and then for phase 2 and 3. So phase 1, you just follow this exact thing. So when you do your before weight, that times 11 is your baseline, and then plus 600, those are your maintenance calories. So if you're not trying to lose any weight, there you go. But if you are trying to lose weight, you're going to subtract 750 from that. And that's going to be your calorie target. And so then you'll scroll down, and then right there, so for example, I did my calculations, and I landed at 1,500 for weight loss. So I'm going to be in plan B. And you might be like, I don't know, Emily, you're only at the bottom of plan B. Yeah, okay, but I'm in plan B. So that's something that we had a lot of questions about in the group that we were in with Autumn is, well, I'm on the brink, I don't know. And she just kept saying, listen, I wrote this program, I know what I'm doing, trust the process. So if you find yourself saying like, oh, I don't know, go with it, trust it. So that's an example. So I'll be in plan B, and so we can use that as an example as we go through. So you'll pick your plan, and then we can scroll on down.
Yeah, so this kind of just talks through the different things. But then if we go back a screen, and so if I click on nutrition, this is where you can see your different food lists. So if you're not familiar with the containers, they look like this. You'll get them with your stuff. Each container is a different food group. So this is fruits, you've got veggies, proteins, carbs, healthy fats, and then like seeds and dressing. And that's the size of each of your portions basically. And for 80-Day Obsession, the food list is a little different. It's a little bit cleaner. Everything at the top of the list are like your best options for that food list, and then they move down. So it's really nice because it's really open what you can pick to eat. You have a ton of choices of how you mix and match, but you're shooting to pick from this list. And then they've got some free foods, water, this refeed thing. Don't worry about that now. We'll get to that later. But once you know what you're eating, this is the next part where you get into when you eat it. So Emily talked about her being in plan B. So I'm going to pull that up and let her kind of talk through that. But whatever letter you land in, you'll click on it. And if you happen to be vegan, there's a vegan plan too.
So here we go. So this is my plan. I'm in plan B. And so if you'll scroll to, keep going, the sample workout. Yeah, this one. Okay. So the really super important thing in this plan is this orange workout block. So basically, you're going to eat before your workout and you're going to eat after your workout. And it matters what you eat before and after your workout. So the prescripted idea here is before your workout, you're going to eat a green, a red, a yellow, and a teaspoon. You'll become super familiar with this. But so that's a vegetable, a protein, a carb, and a teaspoon of healthy fat. And then you'll do the same thing in your post-workout meal. This is assuming you're using the Beachbody Recover supplement. So basically you'll have your pre-workout meal an hour to 90 minutes before your workout, and then you'll take your Energize a little bit before your workout. You'll work out. And then within 30 minutes after the workout, you'll take your Recover supplement and eat a purple, which is a fruit. And then within 1 to 2 hours after your workout, you eat your post-workout meal.
Drug out.
So that is that block as it's described. If there is a version of this if you're not using any of the supplements, that's a couple pages down. And you do have an option if you go down to this gray box, meal option 1. It says if you find the pre-workout meal is too heavy or you're eating less than an hour before your workout, you can swap it with this option. So this is what I think Danielle ended up doing most days. It's what I do because I work out at 4 in the morning. So my goal is to press play by 4:30. I don't have time to eat like oatmeal and eggs and spinach. So I swap out this meal option 1, which is a purple, a red, and the teaspoon, and I make that my Shakeology. So my Shakeology is my red. I do half of a banana as my purple, and then I do a teaspoon of peanut butter, and I blend it together, toss it back, and work out. Which means this green, red, yellow teaspoon now swaps in for meal option 1. Are you good so far, Alicia? Alicia?
Yeah. Now that I was muted, I'm sure
okay.
she was hearing me fuss at the dogs. So yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And so then you have these. So another thing to note is meal option 1, 2, and 3. Those don't have to be eaten in order. So you can swap those around. The only thing that you have to do is eat every 2 to 3 hours. So like what I do is I swap it out. So meal option 1 is a green, a red, a yellow, and a teaspoon. And then another one is a green, purple, blue. And then another one is green, red, yellow, orange teaspoon. And so I just mix those however it works best for my day, as long as I'm eating every 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, so what this tends to look like for me, like Emily said, and hopefully y'all can see my pointer moving around, but I'm having this meal option 1, like first thing, that's my Shakeology in the morning, so switching it out with this one. Then I'm working out, and if you're not familiar with the supplements, I mean, Energize is like your pre-workout, Hydrate is kind of like a Gatorade, but really keeping you hydrated, obviously, and Recover is just helping with your muscles afterwards. So if you have those, if you want to try those out. I had never done those until this program, but I really, really liked them and enjoyed them. Especially the Recover helps so much with like soreness. But if you don't have those, obviously those can be eliminated. But I have my shake, this meal option 1. I work out. I have my fruit here. Please wait. And then I have this post-workout meal is kind of what I call breakfast number 2. You know, on the way to work or once I get to work. And then I will have this, what was the pre-workout meal as my lunch. I'll have this meal option 2 as kind of a snack, and then I'll have meal option 3 as my dinner. And that's kind of how it works out for me. And I'll definitely say at first this was a little overwhelming. I was not one to eat before I worked out, but it's definitely needed with this program. And once, I think Emily would vouch for this, once you get in and start doing this, I think you really will enjoy it, and it just works well for what you're doing. And I plan to even, you know, this week kind of in between doing it again, I'm still following this plan because I like it, it works, and it's just a good way to make sure I'm getting in all the containers.
Gotcha.
So if you keep scrolling through this, they have some great, you know, suggestions for you. Rest day on Sunday is very similar. You don't have that workout block, and we can talk more about that when we get to our first Sunday. Refeed day and deplete day you don't have to worry about, but they do have an option, I think, down here. Okay, so what if I'm not working out in the morning, or what if I am? What might the times look like? So that's what this is with a morning workout. If you're more of a midday person, which I don't know how many of us that will be, but there's an example there of how you might space it out. And then if you're an evening person, how you could work that in and kind of have your post-workout meal or your dinner right after. So with this program, though, I feel like you really need to kind of decide when you're going to work out. It's not this doesn't work well to just go in on a whim and wake up and say, oh, I think I'll wait till such and such. But we will definitely that first week be sharing a bunch of meal plans we've done. I've got like 4 weeks planned out of stuff I can share. So if you're kind of unsure of how it's going to work, but once you really get in the groove and you find what works for you, I think it's good.
Yeah, and I'll show you kind of how I plan it. Disclaimer, I'm super type A. So if this is cool for you, then great. And if this is overwhelming to you, then don't feel bad. So I should have pulled a really good spread. I'm so sorry. Okay, here's a good one. This is what I do. So at the beginning of the week, I sit down and I say, what am I going to eat? And I actually write it out on a piece of notebook paper first while I'm brainstorming. But so I make little check boxes similar to what she just showed you on the plan, but I do it in my planner. So like, here's my red, purple, I use black for the teaspoon. So that's going to be my pre-workout. And then I have red, teaspoon, yellow, green as my post-workout. And so I just spaced it out. My first week, I also wrote the times while I was getting that figured out. But so then I go ahead and as I'm planning, I know I have to plan for all of these colors together. So I write that in. And then my whole week is planned out and I don't even have to think about it. I just go through and check it off after I finish eating it. So if I get home and I'm like, oh man, what was I going to eat today? There it is. I go grab it out of the fridge, check, check, check. And then I also have Energize and then whatever workout. I know it's backwards, but that says total body core. And then my Energize and recover, and then my recover and fruit. And then I also keep up with my water. So it's a little bit more planning on the front end, but it really takes like all the guesswork out of it, all the like, oh, did I eat all my meals or whatever. So this is actually the fitness planner that goes in the Happy Planner. And I just use that. But you can use whatever version of this makes sense to you. That's just what I do.
Yeah. And so I would definitely say this doesn't have to take a lot of prepping. I mean, you can eat stuff as simple or as complicated as you want. You know, you can grab a bag of carrots and a string cheese, or you can make up the spaghetti squash that I'm making every week. You know what I mean? It's totally up to you, but it definitely takes planning. Because it is structured. It's no eat whatever and then get to the end of the day and be like, oh, what containers and colors are left, because it's all spaced out. But once you get into the groove and if you plan it, you know, it may not be for everybody, but I would definitely say give it a try those first couple weeks and just really attempt to commit to it. Play with it a little bit, make it work for you. I'll be honest, for me, some of those meals I actually space out. So like my breakfast number 2, I tend to do like an oatmeal and then, you know, a turkey sausage, something like that. I'm really more likely to like eat my carrot cake oatmeal first and then get to work and then second or third period be like, I'm a little hungry. Let me like finish up that sausage. So I almost space it out a little bit more. That's what's worked for me. But you know, you just find your niche with it and it goes. So we've done it before.
What I do is I stick the combinations together, but I end up spreading out like between my second breakfast and my lunch is more like 4 hours instead of the 2 to 3. So that way I'm not eating my last meal at 3:30 in the afternoon. So that's how I make that work. Yeah.
So is there anything, I mean, I feel like with us doing it now, we're like, yes, yes, go, go, go. Is there anything unclear or that you have questions about that we might have just glossed right over?
No, I don't think yet. I'm sure once I start like doing it, I will. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect because we'll be there then.
Yeah.
I would say the very, like what I did it almost was like studying for a test while I was getting ready for this, which
Yeah.
sounds dramatic and extreme, but I printed it out on a black and white printer, so that was stupid. Don't do that. I did like the sample day, and then I had to go back over it with markers. But I did the sample day, and then I printed out the list of foods, and so I basically made this, and then I just looked at the different food options and kind of used that as a time to like brainstorm what foods could go together in this meal, this red, yellow, green. What are some options? Like Danielle mentioned oatmeal. I do a whole wheat tortilla with chicken sausage and spinach. That's one of my go-tos. Or if I have to eat at work, a whole wheat tortilla with turkey and spinach. That looks the least weird of anything that I came up with. But if I'm at home, I do more, Brussels sprouts and rice and things that are maybe a little more weird. But so you kind of can go through and figure out what foods are going to work for you, what foods are going to work for your family, and piece it together and get some ideas. And that's what makes it feel doable and less overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
most of it's pretty similar to what I'm already doing. It's just adjusting, I think, maybe the times. Mine isn't like maybe as spaced out. So,
yeah.
But most of the same foods, and like when I looked at the list, it's all pretty much the same stuff of what I could already have. So
it's mostly the same. What they take out are the treats. So in the Fixate, you can have like wine and chocolate. There's no wine and no chocolate on this plan. And there are some things like, I think the carbs include like crackers and rice cakes and a few other things. And they really eliminated that on this meal plan. This is a little bit more of a cleaned up version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, depending on which foods you're choosing, you're probably already doing a lot of what this is.
Yeah, but I think we'll both say that there's no perfection here, and even if you don't see chocolate on the list, that doesn't mean it doesn't sneak in occasionally. So no shame there.
You hush. Jason's over there saying no chocolate for you.
But no, so I guess just, kind of an ending, and anybody that's watching, the biggest thing you need to do now is really look at your week first and decide, okay, when is this workout, which might be a little longer than what you're doing, 45 minutes, an hour, and you can look at the workout calendar on there and see, because I'll be honest, I would be like, oh, is it 47 minutes today, or is it 58 minutes, because that matters so much to me. But, figure out where it's going to go, and then start planning out, what your food is going to look like for that day. We did work out some days after school, and so obviously that changed things up. But, planning on the front end and deciding when they're going to be and how your different food blocks work, and then you're going to be successful if you just, stick to the colors.
Yeah. And I would also say, to anyone who watches this, allow yourself some flexibility and some kind of time to figure it out. Like, you're not going to be 100% perfection, especially that whole first week, because you're kind of figuring it out and what's working for you. Like, I set out to do afternoon workouts and had that whole plan and was super pumped about it. And then one day had to do a morning workout for like a meeting after work and liked it a lot better. So I switched over that way. And so, it's obviously a learning process. And so kind of give yourself the room and permission, if you're a perfectionist, to change your mind if you want to.
Yeah. But no, definitely. So check out the documents there. Let us know if you guys have questions, but know that first week in the group, not even the first week, all the weeks in the group, if you have questions, ask them. Someone else probably has them too. But thank you guys so much for watching this, and we're excited to get started.
Yay!